What's up, everybody? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, as well as facebook.com/thehardyconstruction with your host, Alex and
Danny Boyle.
And today's film is
28 Days Later.
28 Days Later. Tell us about it,
Not
Danny.
Before.
No, it's after. It stars Sandra Bullock, and she's going through a drug crisis, right?
Aw, it's sad for her. It's a movie about, I wouldn't know if they're called zombies necessarily. I mean, they're just really angry people that infect and kill.
It's a 2001 film?
It's
2002 film.
here.
2002 film starring Cilian Murphys. Is it Cilian or Killian, do you believe?
I always thought it was Cilian.
Is he Irish or is he English?
His name should be Killian. That would be cooler.
Cilian Murphy.
Is he Irish? Let's see. Is he Irish?
He
is Irish.
2002 film directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland, who did the really cool
Could you
film.
imagine if your last name was like, the definition of like a infected, ingrown pimple?
Is that what Murphy means?
Boyle.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so it was written by Alex Garland, and he wrote the recent Dread film, which was pretty cool. It was a very cool genre film. And the story goes, 4 weeks after a mysterious, incurable virus spreads throughout the UK, a handful of survivors try to find a sanctuary. Stars Danny Boyle, Naomi Harris, Christopher Eccleston, as some people would know as Doctor Who, and another girl who I can't think of right now, who was only in 2 movies.
But you just said it starred Danny Boyle.
I did not. Did I?
Yeah, you did say that.
Maybe it does. Oh, no, he doesn't have.
When we play it back, we'll know. We'll know your failure.
Who cares? Okay, so 28 Days Later. Let's talk about this film. How do we go approach this film? Was this film?
I don't know if this is true, but did this film kind of start the whole running fast zombies?
Yes, I think it did. I think
it did too, but I could be wrong. I'm not like an expert or anything.
When I think about running zombies, this is the first film that I think about. I mean,
I remember they did in Resident Evil after, but that was after this,
Resident Evil came out about the same time as this movie.
I'm talking about the game.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. It followed this in a way, but the Resident Evil the movie came out about the same time, actually, strangely enough. So I think it was both the films kind of added to the resurgence of the zombie film, or there's always been zombie films, but I mean, kind of
brought it into a whole new thing,
more in the limelight, I guess, because it was. Let's see, this was released in the United States on March 15th, 2002, and Resident Evil was released Evil
this was released June 27th, 2003. It says.
Okay, so Resident. Really? Okay. So what the hell was released in? It must have been Resident Evil was released before this one then. I don't know. Something's wrong. Oh, November 2002, this film was released in the UK. And then it was released in 2003.
But I don't like this.
So Resident Evil, I guess, predated it just by United States standards. But they both had
ones that matter.
They both had a similar kind of entrance. Because if you watch The Walking Dead, the TV show, or you're familiar with the comic book, they all three of those have a very similar aspect to the beginning of the story.
Nobody remembers.
Everybody wakes up either in the hospital or they have some sort of amnesia or something like that. And it was funny enough because I was reading up on the writer of The Walking Dead, the comic book. He was saying he was on issue 2 by the time this film had come out, and a lot of people are giving The Walking Dead a lot of shit. Not a lot of shit, but they're like, oh, look who's ripping off The Walking Dead because this guy wakes up in a hospital just like 28 Days Later. And he actually was on the second issue by then, and he was like, it's not going to be a big deal that this movie's coming out. And then he saw it, and he was like, holy shit. So it was pretty funny.
Okay, so he didn't even realize or anything?
I guess not. And
even if he did, it doesn't matter, because that's one scene. From that point on, it's completely different.
Yeah, it's two different...
There's no similarity.
Very different styles of telling a story, especially...
Yeah, and even the zombies are completely different, because one of them are zombies and one of them aren't zombies.
Walking Dead owes more to George Romero's zombie. And although this does as well, and it's obvious, because when Boyle and Garland were talking about the film when it first came out, they were more about saying... They were saying it was dealing more with a film like Day of the Triffids, which I've never seen. I know of the name of the movie, so I mean, whoever's seen it, they can put their thumbs up listening to this shit. But they're saying it was more that, but then more
up your ass.
But then way after the fact, Garland will say, "Oh, this scene where these people are running around in the shopping center is like the Dawn of the Dead." or
Right.
certain characters, the way they die. It's pointing it to some other Romero film. So it was that kind of thing. What did you think about the opening of the film? Because Dawn of the Dead, the remake,
the monkeys or afterwards?
just the special of the camera, the news stuff at the beginning. You know how it starts out with the news footage.
Oh yeah, and
Because-
it shows, and then it like really quickly goes to the monkeys. Is that what you're talking about?
Right. Zack Snyder definitely borrowed from that.
Oh, for the
remake of Dawn of the Dead
Dawn of the Dead,
owes
yeah.
a lot, obviously, to Romero just for making it in the first place, but it definitely owes 28 Days Later because they adapted the running zombie from 28 Days Later to the Dawn of the Dead remake, which was made about 2 years later. So it's very incestuous in a way.
Oh, there's a scene in Dawn. Well, we never did Dawn of the Dead, did we?
Not yet.
We should do that.
But Dawn of the Dead borrows two things from 28 Days Later, which is
they all borrow from each other.
Yeah, but specifically, just to kind of, the opening of the news, the crazy news. Although a lot of films start out with that news stuff,
fast clips of
and then
weird
the running zombies. It was funny because that reminds me.
Well,
when
they all borrowed it from The Stand, so there you go.
When I went to go see Rambo 4, is it Rambo 4 where he was killing the Burmese people?
I didn't see all those movies. Why?
It was the latest one that came out. For some reason, I thought there was a Rambo 6. I'm thinking that's
like
right.
an old man in?
But the thing about this film is that a lot of the footage is real. That's in the beginning of 28 Days Later, but not anything that had people killing, like people hanging off of shit or the necklacing scene. I assume the necklacing scene wasn't real.
I thought they did that all for the movie. Like,
yeah, they just hired like, you will give me 2 elephant bones for this. I will set him on fire. But necklacing is when they put a tire. I guess they either punish some guy. They must. I guess it's obviously a punishment. They put a tire around your neck and they set you on fire, and I guess the rubber melts into your skin. I've seen, it's
well,
not
you're gonna
pretty
die either way.
I guess so. But anyway, so they faked it. But this reminds me of when I went to go see Rambo 4 because we were watching the opening. I was watching it with a friend of mine, and in the beginning of the film, it's about Rambo in Burma. And they're showing how shitty, I guess, whatever the local government or how shitty the army treats the people around there. They're just torturing the people. And they showed an actual footage of some of it looked phony, but some of it was mostly real. It was just like rioters getting their ass kicked. And then one part was, and I was like in a full theater with my friend, and one part was this bald guy getting knocked over the head, like just a regular guy who just got beat up. And I was like, ooh, laughing really loud because I thought it looked fake. And then it sunk into me like 3 seconds after that it was real footage, and everybody around us thought we were the biggest pariahs in the history of the world. The same thing that happened when we went to go see Elephant with another friend. Did you ever see Elephant, the movie that was
No.
a sort of cinematic
Elephant Man?
No, it was a cinematic telling of Columbine.
Oh, jeez.
And we were just been the biggest creeps because my friend and I was just watching it, and the film was like very boring. Because it was just like a camera following a person literally for 5 minutes straight without doing anything behind them. Mm-hmm. And then once they started shooting people, my friend started just laughing.
Oh, God.
And the girls in front of us were shifting.
What was wrong with you?
Because it was like a weird art house film, and then they tried to make it really hoity-toity. Like they...
Well, I do remember we saw the Tooth Fairy, the children-friendly version, and at one point he tells this little kid that his dreams will never come true, and it was like this sad, dramatic moment, and you started laughing very loud, and there was a mom giving us an angry look.
And I didn't even notice the mom giving us an angry look, but I was...
There were kids everywhere. They were giving us angry
because
look.
it was a stupid... You wanted to see that movie.
It was a great movie.
I can't believe you wanted to see
Billy Crystal's
that movie.
in it? Come on.
I still believe you're playing a
Is it
joke
Billy
on
Crystal?
me. I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
I still believe you're playing a joke on me that's about 6 years old. Like you haven't broke character at all.
Great movie.
But I wasn't laughing at the idea of Columbine. I was just laughing at how ridiculous that movie Elephant was. Anyway, so I just had to tell that story.
28 Days Later. Yeah,
So-
we should probably talk about that.
Why do you think they had a monkey tied up to a bed, and how would it watching like terrible news? How do you think that would affect the monkey? Like, do you think a monkey has a
I think
concept?
it's like they're riffing on Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I think any torture stuff like that or the Marathon Man, like they kind of just torture somebody. But
And also Street Fighter. When they ate
the monkey was gonna go down into a tube and then turn green with red hair.
Right.
Jesus. Anyway, but it was. What do you think? Do you think the news would affect the monkey? What kind of monkey would have a concept of what's happening in the news? Like,
I mean, monkeys can get depressed and stuff, so I've heard.
If you look on YouTube,
that monkey that ripped that woman's face off was
Oof.
depressed and had to take medicine supposedly.
He had took 2 shell casings in the morning, but they. Yeah, I guess some monkeys can do that. But do you think they were trying to show that PETA's a bunch of assholes?
I mean, yeah, kind of, maybe, because they really are the cause of the end of the world, pretty much.
Because a group of animal, what are they called? Freedom fighters, I assume? Animal activists break into this... They break into this scientific lab, which is housing a bunch of monkeys. Was there one monkey that had his just chest exposed, like his ribs coming out of his chest? Because I was like, yee.
I didn't notice that, actually.
I did see that on a slab somewhere. So anyway, these assholes break open these... Well, they don't break open the cage, but they're telling this one scientist who's saying, open up that monkey cage, let them out, or, we're freeing them out, don't try anything stupid.
He's highly contagious. I don't care. I care about monkeys more than spreading plague.
Yeah, I think once they asked him, because the guy's like, oh, it's infectious. And like, with what? He should have came up with something else instead of rage. Because even I would be like, hey, get out of here, rage.
Yeah, it should have been like...
He said super AIDS.
Yeah, super AIDS.
Or he'll be like, it'll give you the gay. And they'll be like, uh-oh. And they're like really homophobes. Anyway, the look of the film, shot on video, which I think works a lot. I remember when it first came out.
Everything's like so fast and shit. Like, I love it.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it's shot on video, and the reason Danny Boyle says is that because he wants it to look, and it wasn't like a found footage thing. Maybe it kind of is in a way, but he wants it to feel like the audience is on the street with the people, and it feels like everything's dangerous and it doesn't feel safe. Because if you look at when I first saw it, I was like, why the fuck does this film look so strange? Like, why does it look cheap? Not the film itself, but it just looked like a digital camcorder. Right. And he said aesthetically it worked, and also they got to get a lot of shots done with those little cameras because...
You get used to it, like, really quickly.
Yeah, very much so. And the way that the film is shot is, funny enough, is that the film is shot almost like the Resident Evil the game is. Do you know what I mean? You know how Resident Evil the movie, how it had these long sweeping cinematic shots? Yeah. But... I can say literally there's like thousands. It looks like there's 1,000+ shots in this movie because there's cameras everywhere. It feels like a closed circuit, like a closed circuit TV, right? Because it was just everywhere. And the monkey rage, if you watch Shaun of the Dead, is referenced at the end of Shaun of the Dead, which is pretty funny. So what do you think of
when he does the gorilla?
No, while Shaun of the Dead is while he's watching the news at the end, like he's flipping through the channels, and they were like. You hear the news reporter saying, "Oh, the infection saying it was came from a monkey is bollocks," and then he just changes the channel, so it's a 28 days later reference.
That could have been mentioned Dead Alive too.
I guess so. What did you think of the look of the film?
I like it. I mean, it's kind of like a crappy quality, but it really goes with the film really well, and it just makes everything fucking jittery and kind of like too fast to notice almost in a way. Which is awesome. And they make they're so fast moving and creepy.
Yeah, like definitely.
The scene at the beginning with the priest, like, always is kind of like this funny, creepy scene to me.
Apparently, they hired a lot of athletes. I think only athletes to play the zombies. Although the priest kind of looked like a regular old guy, but they hired a lot of athletes so they can just run around and be crazy and have a good speed to their run. So we start out with this guy, a very nude Cilian Murphy. I'm going to call him Killian, even if it just pisses people off.
I'm going to call him Silly.
Silly Putty Murphy.
Silly Murphy.
So Jim wakes up nude on a hospital bed, and he hasn't shat it.
He's got quite the wee-wee.
Do you think so? I don't know.
Not really.
Was he uncut or cut? I couldn't tell those Irish people what to do with that. Do you think they cut it off with shards of a beer bottle? racist jokes.
That's what they do. That's like their form of bris.
And anyway, so he wakes up nude in the bed. He has the same haircut that Milla Jovovich has at the end of Resident Evil 1. I guess if you're in a coma, they put. What are those things that they put in your head? They put like those little sucker things in your brain to see if you have brain activity. EKG machines, right? So
that might be just for your heart. I don't know. It's the same concept.
I would assume brain waves, same shit as heart waves. I assume. So he gets out of the hospital. Somebody left a key under his door. I guess they thought well enough of him to throw a key under his door so he could get himself out.
They were kind.
Yeah, there was a very strange thing I've never seen. Maybe I have a Mars bars vending machine.
Did he wake up because he was hungry? You think?
I don't know. I just think he had the touch. He knew he was going to be out of there in a second. So he gets out of the hospital. It's very much like The Walking Dead, the opening, but for some reason, this feels a lot bigger in scope. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's
It helps that they got these really amazing shots of an empty city, and how they did that is that Danny Boyle and crew had actually attractive women stop and ask. It was like about 4 o'clock in the morning they would shoot this. A lot of these
about the
scenes.
lighting though?
Well, I mean, maybe it's at the time of, you know how it gets early sometimes during fall. The sky brightens up very early.
Oh, okay.
So it's that kind of working aspect. They had cops do a convoy to like stop driving for an hour. They would only give them like an hour, and they had a lot of attractive women tell these drivers to hold off for a minute, and they would, because the women were really hot, and especially Danny Boyle's daughter was there, I guess. I wonder how old his daughter was.
He pimped her out, had sex with random truck drivers.
He was running a prostitution ring just to make up the rest of the money for the film.
Yeah, that's how he was paying for the movie.
And if you look at the shots of the film, I mean, even if it's done on a crappy camera, you can't help but be like, man, this looks amazing. It just looks, just the empty city. And I can't even imagine, unless I don't even know if they could digitally erase some cars or whatever, but it just looks empty. They just got the perfect shots of an empty city. Even better than Vanilla Sky, the Tom Cruise movie.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what was he in?
Times Square empty.
Was he in Times Square? I don't remember where he was.
I think the remake anyway with Tom Cruise.
Right.
Yeah, I think there was a scene where he's in Times Square.
And it's empty, and like they were making a whole big shit about that. But then when you watch 28 Days Later, you're like, wow. Because 28 Days Later, like the UK, like England, is like the size of Manhattan, isn't it? That whole country?
I don't know. I've never been.
It's not necessarily a giant country. Or what is it?
Is it
a country or is it? I don't know what the fuck it is.
10 miles big, but.
Another thing about the monkey in the beginning that reminded me of Project X with Matthew Broderick. Do you remember that movie? Like, Matthew Broderick.
Oh,
is, right?
Where he's
Inspector
like a
Gadget.
scientist that wants to save his monkey experiment.
Right, and another thing is that in Matthew Broderick, I think I told you this, in the UK. I think it was the UK. What a lot of people don't know about Matthew Broderick, he got into a car accident because he drove on the wrong side of the road and he killed a mother and her daughter, and they only gave him a ticket for wrong way driving.
Huh?
That's Hollywood for you.
It works for you now.
No, it's a true story.
Guys, bring down Matthew Broderick.
Don't go to his Broadway shows. So, do you think this film single-handedly reinvigorated the zombie franchise, or do you think Resident Evil helped with it? Although I didn't really see
Resident Evil wasn't that great.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I thought it was passable.
The soundtrack was awesome.
It was the Marilyn Manson score. I don't know why he doesn't do more of that, but
you should. You fucking should.
But the Resident Evil film was a zombie film, but didn't feel like one to me. It felt more like a weird. That's a whole other thing, but I think this movie really jettisoned the whole zombie genre back, and then also Dawn of the Dead right after helped.
Yeah,
but that was like 2 years after.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead is awesome, but I mean that's like a classic zombie movie kind of. Well, kind of, but this was like a whole new thing. I love it. It's great. I saw it in theaters. I would see it again in theaters.
Do you feel? I mean, are you familiar with Danny Boyle's work?
I mean, I've seen Trainspotting.
Yes, I saw parts of.
Remember there's a thing where like Ewan McGregor was angry at him for not asking to be part of this.
Really?
I don't know if that's true, but I remember hearing that at the time when it came out. Maybe that was just like what I thought would have been the case or something.
I remember I posted all the trivia up on our Tumblr, but they apparently like Ryan Gosling was up for this role, and I was like, well, how old was Ryan Gosling when this movie came out? I was like,
I think it's Josling. You pronounce names weird.
No, every TV show I've seen is Ryan Gosling, so if you want to call it Josling, go ahead, but sound like an asshole.
I like sounding like an asshole.
What?
I like barking out of my mouth.
Who are we introduced to once Jim gets his way out of the church? And he finds the money.
Selena, right?
Selena, who's played by Naomi Harris, who's in the new James Bond film. I don't know, when I first saw
a punk rocker.
Yeah, she kind of reminded me of Storm from X-Men.
What's that douchebag that dies in like 10 seconds?
Was it Mike or something? He was like, it was so funny. I mean, you just Mark. You look at him in the film and you just like, 5 minutes in that he's in trouble. He's gonna be gone.
Yeah, he's dead.
And what did you think about her character, Mia? Selena, excuse me.
She's I like her. She starts out like kind of mean, but like it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean she's very aware of what she's doing, and she's a very strong female character, very good female character, in the vein of a
successful female, strong character. Because a lot of times I think these writers get confused between the idea of being an asshole and being a strong female character.
Although she becomes a lady in distress towards the end. That's the only thing where
a
it's
strong
kind of
lady in distress.
yeah. I mean, she's very aware of what she's doing, and she's not making stupid moves. Like the other female that's introduced, who's Hannah, is making a lot of stupid moves in the movie because I don't know
or something. Well, how old is she?
She looked about 15 or 16 in the making of this film, or maybe 7. Nah, she looked about 15 or 16. She stopped making films, and she's in a goth band now, which is funny enough because they're
good.
Not my type. It didn't even sound gothic, and I think they just look. I think they're called.
I'm not gonna say the joke I was gonna say because it's too messed up. You're gonna edit it out.
I think they're called Betty Cruel or something like that. Her group. But anyway, Naomi Harris plays the very hardcore Mia, and they're also introduced to Mark, and Mark, unfortunately, gets attacked.
It's fortunate. I don't want to look at him.
Jim gets
bad jokes about lions and giraffes.
Jim gets attacked by a couple of zombies. It's pretty interesting. I love the way the zombies pop out in the film. They're just like, everything's crashing. It's almost like it's not giving you time to breathe because everything just happens so quick in the film.
I like that they're not zombies also.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people make that.
But they're so scary.
A lot of people make that whole judgment about the film. They're like, it's not a zombie movie, it's an infection movie. And I'm like,
it is
zombies. It is a zombie movie. There's no question about it.
They're not zombies technically.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I like about it.
They cut and they'll die. Like that's it.
Yeah, I think if you shoot them anyway, right? They're not like just headshots. I think you can just shoot them.
Yeah, no, as long as it would kill the same way it'd kill you or me.
Right, and
so, yeah.
Brendan Gleeson plays Hannah's father, and
he's awesome. He's like a great actor.
I like how he comes out, and I don't know why people in horror films don't do what he did. I mean, he doesn't do it later on in the film, but
dressed up in the SWAT and all that.
He's in a SWAT costume when he first comes out, and they did that in The Walking Dead in one episode, and then they just don't want to wear any SWAT costume. I would be wearing Kevlar all the time. I don't know why. I mean, I guess they could say it slows you down.
Should. It slows you down a little. It's hot, but like
there was a trade show where they just invented a shirt where you can't get stabbed. So can you imagine? And it looks like a regular dress shirt.
They got to do that World War Z shit and make the shark-proof uniforms for fighting
war. There you go. So I mean, I don't know why characters do that, but I guess it helps for the story. That's the usual thing when people in zombie movies don't wear something heavy on them. They're like, oh, it'll slow us down. They go, oh, okay, and then they get bitten by they decide to roll up their shirt shoulders and shit like that, and they're like, oh, okay. Is that a word that I just say?
And also they get blood. Like this is one thing that always bothers me. In every zombie movie, but especially in this movie, because it's like one drop of blood gets you sick. Like, they've never stabbed one of them or hit one of them with a bat and gotten a spray of blood in their face. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, when Mark got infected, all that blood that fell on Jim, that shit was...
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got to inhale that, right? I mean, it has to go up your nose.
Kisses him after he's covered in blood.
Yeah.
Which some of it's his blood, but also,
I don't know. It's all magical movie horse shit, but yeah, that's.
Okay, I know it's a movie, but it just frustrates me.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's bullshit.
Stick and then have blood everywhere, with no precautions being taken.
What'd you think of Jim and Selena's relationship? It didn't feel forced.
I was picturing because I've seen his penis, so I was picturing it going in and out of her.
And nobody got to take baths? You think they all had like raunchy smelling?
They did get to take one bath.
Oh, did they at their house? And shitting in a bucket? And how did they wash the bucket out?
At Soldier's place, remember?
Oh, that's true. I was just thinking about when they were at Hannah and Brendan Gleeson's. I can't think of Brendan Gleeson's character.
It's not on brush their teeth, but they are British, so.
Maybe they brushed their teeth with a log of shit. So maybe that's just how it was. Apparently, there's a lot of the UK Film Lottery. I don't know, or the UK National Lottery. I assume it works like the United States Lottery. Funds the arts. So that's why there was a lot of like national lottery shit around in the movie. That was dumb trivia. Anyway, how did you like when Brendan Gleeson's character got infected? I thought that was pretty awesome, but I felt so bad. I was like,
I felt bad too. There's supposed to be like an alternate ending where they like save him somehow. Like
right, they never filmed it. Brendan Gleeson.
I read, but
Brendan Gleeson reminds me of the Ox King from Dragon Ball. Like the father.
Which one is the Ox King? Oh, from the original
Chi-Chi's dad, yeah, the original Ox King. He's just like that big burly dude. He's really nice. But I felt bad for him, and Hannah is left to her own devices because her father dies, and I think because her mother died as well. What?
She becomes a drug addict within the
Yeah,
course
because
of the movie.
the movie for a whole hour just pauses on her taking, methamphetamines and stuff. It doesn't deal with zombies at all, and she has to go through.
Snorts like a fucking 8-ball.
She hangs out with this other zombie that's trying to kick his own habit of eating brains and shit, and they just, became a friendship. It's pretty awesome. But anyway, what'd you think of Hannah's character? Was she useless? Interesting?
Nah,
she's useful towards the end.
This movie, I could very confidently say that there is nothing in it that is useless or bad. It's a perfect movie. It really is.
But there is a case on, does the film kind of jump the shark, to use that phrase,
What?
when they go to the army guys? Like, do you think they... Because there was a whole separate finale for the film as opposed to the army guys. One of the original thoughts for the film
That
is
was their goal, though, was to find the army guys.
I know, here's the thing. Before that ending was written, there was another ending that had to deal with Brendan Gleeson's character, where the whole film stayed with just the core 4 characters, and they're trying to find a cure for Brendan Gleeson's character, and they bring him back to the original science lab, and that scientist at the beginning who gets attacked by the woman actually didn't die, and he finds a cure. He knows the cure, but the whole cure was it's a blood transfusion where you have to take all the blood out.
Yeah, but they can't do that.
Right.
I read that like the one drop would be enough.
Right, because that's why they decided we got fucked on that ending too. So they decided to go with the army guys. Do you think the army guys are there to show the inhumanity of man in fucked up times?
Yeah, it's like a Romero type of idea. Like, so, and not that Romero created that idea, but, all of his movies are about the bigger picture of how fucked up mankind is, and this definitely shows that.
Did you like the 10 to 20 second transformation into zombie kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. And the one that keeps puking, I can't think of what his name is. The black one that's, like, chained up.
Such racism in this world. It was so funny. On IMDb, these people were saying, that's racist that they had the black guy chained up by his neck. And I was like, I don't think that was what they were trying to imply about slavery.
They're so not racist.
People are so sensitive. I bet you it was like the whitest guy in the world. He was like, oh, Jesus Christ. He was just all offended. Meanwhile, one of the main character, Selena's like a strong black woman kicking ass and stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, whatever. But the army guys, what'd you think of them?
That one weasel guy who made the eggs, but then he becomes kind of a good guy at the end.
Who, the one that got stabbed in the chest with the bayonet?
Yeah.
How did he become a good guy?
Well, he shot the other dude when he was about to shoot him, allowing Jim to escape, remember?
Oh, I don't think that was by his chivalry or anything like that.
That was just either he was so nervous that he accidentally did it, or he was trying to spare the other army dude who was the good army dude.
Christopher Eccleston is Doctor Who as he's not an evil sergeant, he's trying to look out for his men, but all his men are like rapey maniacs, I assume, after a while.
That one guy's a rapey maniac. I can't think what his name is. Like the main bad soldier.
The one who is torn up. Well, they're all torn apart in a way. The last white guy that dies. You mean?
Dragging her around by her hair.
Yeah, the last white guy that dies. Yeah. But I think. What are your thoughts about the film? What works and what doesn't work? I think a lot. It works, the whole film. Even if people feel that whole thing is.
Like I said, the only thing. I can't think of anything in this movie that I would change, really. Like, it's fucking perfect.
It's a legitimately cool...
Not that Frank dies. I wish he didn't, but, like, that's what makes it a good movie.
Yeah, I wish it was like Zombieland in a way where they kept... But Frank wouldn't let any of that shit happen towards the last half.
You think that about it's a good movie, the fact that you would care if a character dies, I don't give a shit in some movies when someone does.
Yeah, what did you think of, the true ending where Jim dies at the end and turns into a zombie? I'm glad he lived at this one.
Is that the true ending?
That's the ending that they wanted, but it didn't test well. But to Danny Boyle, that's what he feels is the true ending. So I'm just gonna ignore what he says.
Where they do the blood transfusion or whatever?
No. They actually shot it. I think it's online. It's because you know how Jim explains how he got hit by a car while he was bike messaging.
Yeah.
Bike messengering? Is that how you say that?
I don't know.
Whatever. He gets hit by a car, and then this one he gets shot, obviously by Christopher Eccleston's character, and they try to resuscitate him in the hospital, and he ends up drifting in and out of consciousness of when the car hits him. And when the car hits him, he dies, and then the girls go off and they write the hello sign. And in Finnish, the pilot, because I read this in trivia, is saying, let's send another chopper for these people, or should we send a chopper? So that's the original ending that Danny Boyle wants, because he wanted it to be cyclical, that it starts out with Jim in a hospital and then ends with him dying in a hospital bed. But I'm glad he lived. because we get to see his pretty cheekbones. What do you think
I mean,
about?
it's a pretty damn dark movie. They could give one
some kind of hope. What do you think of Cilian Murphy's pretty face, like his nice bone structure?
That's the first thing he's ever been in, right? Or that he's ever been in.
I think they picked the leads of the film because they were not very well known besides Brendan Gleeson and Christopher Eccleston. So I can't off the top of my head.
I didn't know either of those guys.
Brendan Gleeson, he's been in a couple things, and Christopher Eccleston I just know because of Doctor Who, but I'm sure I saw him in something else. But anyway, what did you think of the film as a whole?
It's perfect, and Cillian Murphy's pretty cheeks. I would whap my balls on his cheeks.
He's got those nice. He could have just like a rhinoceros.
Like a girl.
He's like he has like a woman's face, like like a pretty British woman's face. He could have just used his cheekbones like a rhinoceros and rammed right into zombies and killed them all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he could have stabbed them with his cheeks.
Could have just done that. So about the film, what's your point scale on the film?
Oh, I'm gonna give this.
What's your rating? Excuse me.
Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna give this 10 out of 10. Black soldier puking out blood onto scared white soldier.
I like. they were afraid. Never mind. I like the scream. He had like the best zombie growl. He was like, bah, bah! He had a really cool
fucking
zombie.
Awesome. He's perfect.
The best one. I will give it a. What'd you give it? A 9?
A 10.
I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Nude, uncut Irish cock. And with that,
uncut? Did you actually like really?
I don't know. I really didn't look, so I'm just guessing. But whatever. I'll check it out on Chelsea Street. Next film is the 26. What? The ABCs of Death.
ABCs of Death. What? You can't even get the name of the film.
I'm all wrong. I was all thinking about uncut cock. But Danny, what's the final word?
Smorgasbord.
Deconstruction.
Okay, I just realized that the guy who plays Frank is Mad Eye Moody. I just, from Harry Potter. I just looked it up, and that's cool. I didn't even realize.
That was really that was very important.
It was important.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Okay.